Okay, welcome to the July 17th, 2025 meeting of the Town of Concord Historical Commission. We are conducting this meeting online in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. The public may access the call through both telephone and video conferencing. We've got a fairly light agenda tonight. First, we'll do a quick roll call. Present myself, Doug Ellis. Nancy?
Nancy Frisella Lee. Here.
Melissa?
Melissa Sawfield, present.
Lauren?
Lauren Meyer, present.
Okay. And of course, Anne, you always count, whether we count you in or not.
Yeah.
Wright Tavern, first on the agenda. Should we
All
turn it
right.
over to you, Tom, or can you pass it off to one of your associates?
I was going to say, just let me do a quick overview and sort of, understand how we can make the best use of our time together. But I'm going to just say one thing at the beginning. This meeting is the culmination of a lot of work, and by the folks at DSK, Jeff Deering, Alice Hain, just like, and it's just amazing the amount of time and effort that's put in to do the things that I think we all want, which is to preserve this building and make it something that is really something that brings the community together and be self-sustaining and all that sort of stuff. So, so there was a lot of material that we sent you, and we want to make sure we use this time and your expertise, in the most appropriate way. And so I'm going to basically turn it over to Jeff and Alice to really walk us through it. But let me ask a question, if I could, just in terms of how you want to do this. They can go through the materials they sent you and kind of give you not a super in-depth, but a really programmatic or kind of a walkthrough of what we're planning to do each of the places, highlighting the places where we're very sensitive to the preservation elements of the building. Or we can just do a quick overview and then open it really for questions and answers. So how would you all like to spend this evening?
You're basically it for the evening, so you can take as much time as you feel is warranted.
Yes, I would second that.
And honestly, in my own perspective, as much information as we're able to absorb, because in going through this, you've got room 103 and you're comparing, okay, I don't see it on this, but I see it on this. So we're gonna need a site visit for sure, just to kind of follow up and understand, to put the pieces together.
Yeah,
but as much as you can go through to give us the context and see how the pieces fit together would be
perfect.
Sounds great.
That sounds great. Well, I'll turn over to Jeff, and we'll be prepared to answer any questions as you go along, and feel free if you get a little bit lost to stop, and we'll pause and kind of recalibrate and get centered. And Jeff, it's really my great honor and working with Jeff and Alice to turn this meeting over to them, because you guys are this so well, and
well, Tom, we'll see if we can live up those words.
Well. Okay.
Commission members, thank you for your time this evening. I am going to walk us through the drawings and the preservation photos, but I'm going to do it in a little bit different order than what you were presented with. Our drawings are set up architecturally where we go basement floor existing, first floor existing, basement floor demo, first floor demo. So you kind of have to go through. I've grouped all of the basement stuff together and all of the first floor together. And I'll start off with the general orientation of the building to make sure everybody understands the spaces we're talking about. And I will open up the Exhibit D photos and show you images of that as we're talking about this. So you have the reference to the preservation documents, you have the reference to our drawings, and once we go through all that, we can open it up for questions. Does that sound okay?
Sounds great.
Okay. Do I have permission to share my screen?
Perfect.
You do for me. And do you need to give him permission?
No, you should be all set.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. There we go.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Are you guys seeing this wonderful image of the
Yes.
Wright Tavern?
Yep.
Is it large enough for everybody to see? Should I zoom in?
If you can make it full screen, I think that would be great.
The
We're seeing just,
Maximize that window, yeah.
That's, I can close this.
Yeah. Close the thumbnails.
Yeah, is that better? Not great.
I
Yeah,
think he
you
can make
can,
it bigger. And can't he make it bigger?
instead of sharing your whole desktop, you could just share that application.
How do I do that?
Stop sharing, and then when you go back to share, there's you'll see some options. One's a desktop, one's just the application, or if it's like a browser, you can just open a specific tab.
I see screens, documents, advanced.
Documents,
Documents.
it's all right.
That's not showing me what I want to show you guys.
You don't see applications or anything like that?
I don't see applications here. I can, you know what, I can scroll in and
Application
out, zoom in
windows.
and out as we go through this.
Oh, like in the middle, if you have screens,
Yep.
if you have application windows,
If I have,
Jeff, I think Bluebeam also has the presentation mode. Look for it. Window, see if window.
you know what? That's fine. For the sake of time, that's fine.
okay. So right tavern, the Lexington Street view perspective. And then, you know, we're going to start down on the basement level. And just to orient everybody with the plan, the top side of the page is Lexington Road. The left side is Main Street. Okay, and we're down in the basement, and what you're seeing here with the colored aspects are related directly to the preservation document. So anything in the orange has been considered, quotes, modern for the preservation document, and anything in the teal is what they've identified as historic or significantly important. And so down in this basement, this is that main chimney under the primary chimney, the original chimney. And then what you're seeing here with the dotted lines is what's above. So we're showing the structure above because it is historical in a lot of respects. And then we're in the old baker space, and we've got the masonry fireplace here with the brick oven. And we have an original beam here, and then we have the modified beams. These were structurally reinforced during the structural renovations. And the brick wall that was along these column lines was replaced with CMU. In this area, this is kind of a half partition, I'll say. It's a stud frame with like a chicken wire infill. It's a mesh about 1 inch square, 3/4 inch square. And it was meant as kind of a way to secure the storage in here years ago. And then this top space is the current icebox room, and that's already got a lining on all 4 walls and the floor in that space. And we'll go through the preservation document with that. In fact, I'll jump to that now to kind of just, as we've given you a quick overview there, jump to that space. And so when I zoom in here, what you're seeing, this is the door to the ice room. This is that partial partition with the metal mesh. Okay, and so this is where we're proposing to create a new space. And B2 is just, there was no names on the preservation document, but this is a storage area. And what you're seeing here with the door is the old bathroom that was here. This is a larger expanded view of, well, let me just. This is the interior of that secured storage area with the wire mesh and the wood. I believe this partition no longer exists, but the others on the left side do. And you can see it's just basic storage, you know, timber structure with wood boards for shelving. And here's the opposite wall, and this is the back wall of that cold storage area. And then here's a good view looking directly in at that space toward the east. And the original stone foundation, one of the primary posts or support beams, that is original, and you can see the original decking above that. What I'd also like to point out here is you can see one of the original joists here, and they have been sistered, is what it's called, where they apply a new structural member to give strength to that member that was not adequately supporting the floor. And so these have all been altered other than the primary beam. This is that cold storage room. So again, you can see everything has already been lined. There are again some open shelves in here. Those will go. And here's the corridor leading to that door. And then we're in a space with the door to your right. So you can see the floor has been in, it's going to be hard to see that, but the floor has infill on it, and all 4 walls already have a surface applied. We will be applying a ceiling above this so that anything above is going to be isolated. Now we're going to get into the B2 and B2A. This is that bathroom, the B2A space. You can see it's horizontal boards, it's a door. It's also a raised floor, which you can't see. It's a wooden floor that's raised up about 5, maybe 6 inches. And then here's our east exterior foundation wall. And again, you can see almost all of this structure has been sistered. So it's all been altered to some extent at this point. And then this is before the structural renovations. This was a parged brick. You can see a little bit of the brick here, and the wood post coming through. This has been removed for the most part and infilled with a CMU. And that's
But
just,
the wood beams are still in place. They worked around the beams, so the beams also, the wood beams that were original are still in place.
yep. And what's not real easy to see in these photos is the new lally columns or structural steel posts. There's a half dozen in this area. So there's a background of reference, and now I'll kind of walk you through what we're proposing for here. This is just a quick overview of everything, and we're showing the demo. This gets into the detail of that demo. So anything in these dashed red lines is what we're proposing to demolish. Okay, so this is that half wall or the partial wall with the wire mesh. This is that existing bathroom and floor. And though it isn't listed as historical, we're actually going the extra mile to be cautious about it and asking for that to be carefully disassembled and stored, just in case it could become useful at some other point, whether it's this project or somewhere else, just because of the age of that wood. And then in the existing BO3 space, the former kitchen or bakery, there's extensive renovation work here. These beams were all reinforced. There's nothing to be demoed here other than there is a bench. It's casework. We're looking to remove that because we need to get in a grease trap. And in order to do that, what we're looking to do is create an opening in this masonry wall to provide access for servicing that unit. And please stop me if you guys have questions along the way before I get too far along. Our proposed plan, and I'll start in this upper corner, is we would like to put in a modern walk-in cooler. And so these are prefabricated, custom-made to your space, and they're modular sections. I can't remember whether this is a Z shape or a U shape that lock together, but they do floor, wall, and ceiling panels, and then they have their own door on it. So we are looking to remove that existing door that's there. And again, out of caution and beauty of that door, we would ask for that to be carefully removed and stored. And you may want to chat with JC real briefly about this, but we are looking to create a space for a microbrew here in support of the beverage center and the use of the tavern by its nature. And what we're proposing is a traditional wood stud wall. This would be 2x4. This would be 2x4. The 2x4 against the existing foundation, we would hold off of that foundation so it doesn't actually touch it. This will wind up being a 2x6 wall because these are the new steel columns that have been in place. And in order to get around that with the wall, we need a 2x6 wall to do that. So we've got a new door, and then this storage space would continue that same use, and we'd actually create a closed storage, secure storage area where the old bathroom was. And that's just a simple reconstruction of those walls in place. And the former bakery becomes a support for the refreshment center. There will be no food production down here. This is cleanup and support for what we need to do for the refreshment center on the first floor. And again, in terms of preservation, we're looking at adding a new wall face here. And again, held off the masonry by a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch minimum. Couple reasons for this. One, Board of Health is going to require us to close up that fireplace opening. And same with the baker's oven, but they will be preserved. And we would hold that off that distance and then sheathe it, and we would just do a backer rod and caulk at that final connection to seal the joint for insects, mice, etc.
When you mean you're sealing it off, but you're preserving it, does that mean you're drywalling over the whole thing?
On two faces, right? The room side face and this very end, and potentially on this inside face where we're looking to add the grease trap.
Yeah.
And then there'd be about a 1/4 of an inch gap from the end of that wall to the face of the masonry. And we would just simply look to use, it's called a backer rod. It's like a foam round rod that they stick in, and it provides a backer for caulk. So the caulk has a place to stop and expand properly and attach to its, left and right sides. So the only physical contact here is the caulk.
Okay, but the structure won't be visible any longer.
No, it will be covered. Okay. I think, no, I've got 3Ds and everything. All right. Here we get a little fun. This is the support area. Sorry, this is the existing bakery space. So this is the exterior door that leads to Main Street and the window directly adjacent to it. And this door leads to the basement of the L. And then when we come back in, now we're looking to the north again, toward Lexington Road. And that wall is already here. And we're looking at, oh, sorry, no, this is the fireplace wall. So what you're seeing is this continuous wall in front of it. You no longer see the fireplace. We've got movable shelving, and then we've got our 3-bay stainless steel sink required by the building department, the dishwasher, and a little shelf for pots and pans. Continuing on, we're now looking to the east. This is toward that storage side. And here again is that second portion of the L of that 3-bay sink. This is the CMU wall. We may have to paint that or seal it for Board of Health. So I'll let you know, we have not been to Board of Health yet. We've been trying to get this kind of tightened up with our MEP engineers to make sure we had enough documented to accurately show it to you folks. And then we'll meet with Board of Health. But then we have a hand sink and a janitor's kind of mop sink here. And then the wall now to the north looking to Lexington Road. There's an ice maker here, freestanding or rolling shelves. And then this is the opening from this room out to that corridor. And then a little isometric of that to just give you a sense of understanding that space instead of flat elevations. This is that beautiful masonry of that chimney that we're no longer going to see, but it's going to be preserved. Here's that L-shaped 3-bay sink and the other sinks, and then these little racks for storage. And then these are the movable storage racks and the ice maker. On our next sheet, now we're moving in toward the maker space. So this is the High-Minded Brewing area. It's a very simple room. So the north wall that abuts the ice is just going to get finished with wallboard and whatever is required by Board of Health. There's some equipment that gets stored there. This is the new wall looking to the west. This is our means of entrance and exit from this little room. And we're envisioning this being a glass panel just to borrow light and not have this space feel so closed. Then on our south wall, again, looking now toward the tea room, this is where most of the equipment is. It's a stainless steel work surface and sinks. And then on the west wall, this is that wall that sits in front of the stone wall. We would have the wall in there, and then we would have equipment along that. And to give you a sense of what that looks like. So this doesn't quite support the high-minded brewing stuff. This is more about that storage area. So this is the new walls for where the bathroom was. This is that storage area. This is the wall along one of the main beams with the new structural support columns. And then this is the entrance to the high-minded brewing and the work table there. And these are just floor plans that kind of support what I've already walked you through. And that's what I have for the basement. Do we want to tackle questions or do we want to continue on and then hit questions?
Say continue on.
Okay. All right, so our first floor plan, again, Lexington Road is to the top of the page, Main Street is to the left of the page, and we're using the same graphics to represent the preservation document, the orange being considered modern walls and anything in the teal being considered significant and or original. And just to orient us, this is the space we are mostly going to be talking about. So you can see here, modern wall, modern wall. There's a modern intervention over this beam, and we have a modern wall to create the closet that services the tea room. I'm just going to move to the more detailed demo plan here. So in terms of demolition, our plan is to demo all of the modern walls and potentially change out this door if we can make it work with ADA to have that swing into the room instead of into the corridor. That's also a modern door. So in terms of what we're proposing, new partition really is limited to this closet and this little wing wall. Everything else that we're proposing really is casework or millwork. We also have to address the firebox, and we're trying to be creative with that as well. We don't want to attach anything in here. That's original firebox, that's original hearth. And so what our goal is to kind of create a very simple framework, a floor plate network that kind of follows the profile of that firebox, a vertical stud that infills that fireplace opening, and then some slope bracing back to the back to just give it support. But the weight of this alone, we think we can just slide into place and it will be stable. And then over the studs, we'd run a layer of plywood and then a finish material, whether that's stainless steel or an FRP, still to be determined as we work through our finishes with Board of Health. We also have a power requirement in this location that the manufacturer's cord on the unit is only a certain length and they don't allow extension cords on it. So we have to get something here. Our thought is to come out of this wall with electrical metal conduit, come out and across the face at around just 32 inches, 34 inches. So it's hidden really by the equipment. Nothing would be attached to the masonry. We would then turn into this fabricated structure, add an electric box that is flush at the right height that they can then plug that unit into.
And Jeff, one thing just to point out, what we're covering up is only the firebox. The cabinet that is above the firebox and the mantle that's there using now will remain and will be open.
Correct.
And you'll see that in one of the images that we have in the drawings.
Yep. So here we go. Here are the fun drawings. Actually, I'm going to orient us first a little bit here. So what you're going to see on these first two images are the outside views from the hallway or corridors looking back at this proposed refreshment center. This first one's taken in this corridor on the north side, looking south. The other one's taken on the east corridor, looking west. So the concept is a cage bar. And the other concept is that this would all be used from reclaimed wood of a species that would be appropriate. We're thinking pine, but we would try to match, and we would use the tap room as a source for trying to match those species. This would be distressed. It would not be premium wood. And the goal of this is not so much the aesthetic, but there's a real requirement here that this space will now be used for more than just the tavern. There's tenants in the space, there's tours going on in the space, there's visitors coming here, and we need to be able to close this and have some security to it. But we also need to have it be able to be really opened up for being able to service. So that's the reason for utilizing the cage bar. And on this wall, we're looking at 3 panels, and they would hinge along the top, and we would use a simple hook and eye, and I have an example of that, to hold those in place while they're open for operation. And just a quick photo reference of that. If you haven't seen it yet, this is the little cage bar that was constructed for the April 19th ceremonies. So you can see that cage in the open position. Another interesting feature here to focus on is this door. It's a Dutch style door. So again, that cage can open and the door remains shut while service is happening. We're looking to utilize all of those examples. And then it's all wood panels here. Again, the language of those panels, the dimensions of those panels will be derived from the dimensions we find in the tap room. So we have a consistency of that language. And now here is our west wall. So this is the corridor heading down to the tea room, with the tea room here on your left. This is the new door that we're for our little storage closet. We've done a paneled wood wainscot. And then this is just a continuous jamb that our door is attached to. And these are freestanding wood posts. And then all the casework for the bar. So again, you can see our hinge marks here. This would open up. We've got the Dutch style door where it either opens all at once or we can open just the top, and that lets you then operate the bottom door with good visibility. And now we're going to move to the interior of that cage bar. And so here we are in the operator zone looking out at the customers in that corridor on the north side. And you're seeing all the equipment below, as well as what you would see on the countertop, our taps, our point of sale machine, and I think this is a display for food. The next image is now turning and looking back toward that corridor that leads to the tea room. It's somewhat of a section cut through here. And you can see we've got a wood structure here that we can hinge. That would free span across. It may need to be supported, but this is in the area where we're demoing a wall and would utilize spots that have already had attachment for attaching and supporting this. That would hinge up. You're seeing that Dutch door again from the inside, and then kind of a profile of the bar and the equipment. And then on the opposite side, you're seeing some of that equipment we had talked about that needed the cord for power. And this talks to Tom's point that he just made about that existing fireplace. So that's what you're seeing here is the existing fireplace. This is the infill panel, but this is the architrave around that that's fully preserved and untouched. And then there's a mix of what is original and has been modified in this space. The goal is leave it alone, let it be. It's what it is, and it's a nice presentation in this use. And now here we are looking at the exterior wall toward Main Street, the existing windows. There is a wood wainscot here. We will not be touching that. We have another freestanding post against the wall where that modern partition is. All of this will die into that and support. And then here's a little perspective, bird's eye, just to give you a sense of that language. So what we're really trying to accomplish on this side is continuity between the millwork here and the wall here. So these door panels would align with the panels down below. Everything on here would be wood other than this one middle section, which would be painted. And I think what I forgot to take you through is the preservation documents. So let me go back to that. Okay, these are really challenging to read until you orient yourself. But what we're looking at is the A100C is the hallway that leads to the tea room, and the 100D leads to the L. And so as we go through that, this very first one is in that first corridor that leads to the tea room. That is the tea room door down at the end. This is that bathroom door. And there is a shift in the wall here, and you do see one of the original girts coming through. This is a straight on shot of that where you still see that door. What you can't see is it was taken right at the face of that notch. You can just get a little sense of that girt coming in here just for reference. And then this is the door to the current 103 space. This next space is the corridor that leads to the L. This is, they think it was a retrofit, that this was from salvaged boards because of the piecing of it. But again, we look at the context of that saying historical, we don't want to touch it. This area, this is the actual opening of that corridor to the L. So there's existing casing here as well as the beams that tie in at that location. This will not be touched. And the last one is looking back again at that north side, this wall of that hallway, and you can see how pieced the wainscoting is. That's our presentation. We look forward to your comments, questions.
I think this helps me understanding about 75%. Just
Okay.
because getting my orientation on, north, south, east, west, which,
A lot.
which, yeah, getting the three-dimensional perspective is
So I
challenging.
think you mentioned there would be ideally a walking tour of this with the commission. We would be happy to do that with the drawings so that you can have them in your hands and orient yourself in those spaces. And we do a Q&A as we go through.
Right. Lauren, I see your hand is raised.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for this great presentation. I just love this project and I'm so grateful for all the care and, great work that your team is doing. So, thank you for that. I have two questions. One relates to the covering on the chimney in the basement.
Yep.
Is there any concern about mitigating moisture down there? Or do you think that's going to be not an issue?
I think it is what it is. That chimney has its board form concrete around it. I don't know exactly when that was done. Tom, was that work done with the structural renovations or prior to?
What, you mean the work?
The original chimney base in the basement.
Yeah, it was done before the structural work.
Okay.
Is probably it, but it was probably done maybe 30 to 50 years ago. Hard to know exactly.
Yeah.
There-
That would make sense with that kind of construction.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
In terms of your water intrusion, we don't want to, if we did anything, it would be at the perimeter at the foundation slab and match
Right.
the water and not try to seal that stone.
Right. Yeah, I totally get that. Okay. Thank you. And
Yep.
then my next question is a little bit more challenging. And
Okay.
it relates to the design of the panels and the cage
Yep.
and that you just talked about. And one of the things in preservation, the Secretary of the Interior standards do talk about new work being compatible but distinguishable. And this is beautiful. It's going to look beautiful with the other historic features, but it does give me, I just raised the question about and it's a challenge because you want it to look all part of a single thing, but on the other hand, from a preservation point of view, it needs to read as a modern intervention. So I just wondered if you had any thoughts about that.
I don't. I hadn't thought about that question. And it's a great question. Thank you for that. It's definitely something for us to consider. How would the board feel if we kind of kept the aesthetic, but this was a painted versus natural wood? Would that get to your concerns?
For me personally, I think that's the kind of thing you might think about, which is making it distinguishable from the original. in some way. And
Yep.
oftentimes it's a change in, it's the same design, but it's a change in materials,
Right.
you know, something so that it fits. But, you know, I'd pitch it to my other commissioners, but I just thought I'd raise that issue relative to the Secretary standards.
Okay. Thank you for the question.
Melissa?
So actually, I have several questions. Some of them may be, I don't know, pedestrian, but it's me asking them. But first of all, I just want to say to Tom, my gosh, I think the first time you came before the Historical Commission was in 2020. So congratulations to you and your team for all that you have done and endured and bringing it this far. It's remarkable. And I know a lot of it is owed to you personally. So on to my pedestrian questions. One of the things I've always understood about anything done with an historic property is you want to make sure that everything you do is reversible.
Yep.
Yep, okay. And kind of following on what Lauren was asking, are you envisioning painting this interior? And if so, what are you thinking about?
So we have a previous approval from the commission to paint the interior spaces as part of the April 19th. That's been executed.
Yep. So are you, so that you're done? And that is what? 'Cause
Other than the new spaces that we're talking about, I believe that's the plan for now. Tom, maybe you can chime in here.
I think, you know, if we take what Laura was saying, painting the wood as opposed to leaving it natural, that would be the only question. We have because we did our research on what the paint colors would be, we would keep it basically what is currently there, which is a sort of an off-white, if you will. I forget the exact color that it is. So inside it will be, you know, somewhat bright, if you will, as opposed to being a dark color. Except for the trim work that's around the fireplace, which is as a darker color too, which is more of an accent color. So we probably keep that sort of style, if you will. So it looks like it's, you know, it's part of the building, it's part of the continuity from a couple. But we're open for any kind of suggestions as to what would be, you know, appropriate to the commission in terms of the historical relevance.
So I have another question about, maybe I'm remembering, I really am looking forward to walking in again, but am I wrong? But the fireplace in the basement, hasn't it been painted?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you like to see an image of that?
Well, I would like to see
Yeah,
it.
it's like
Moved?
70s.
It's a beautiful room
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
wish
and the artwork remains.
Yeah.
the artwork, I think it's from the First Parish.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So would
Yep.
you be removing that?
We wouldn't touch it. We would just simply put this wall in front of it and leave it as is.
Okay. It just
There we
dawned
go.
on me.
Yeah.
Our concern with trying to remove paint off an old brick like that is that we would do more damage than good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that. It's apropos of another building going on in town. At any rate, so the things about for plumbing and electrical upgrades, I would probably defer to you and Lauren maybe, but that will not be too disruptive to upgrade service and plumbing to support this new refreshment center.
So we
Right.
went through a ton of gymnastics with our MEP engineer to accomplish their needs to do this and with being respectful of the structure. They came up with something completely different. We're like, nope, can't do that. Nope, can't do that. We walked them through it. And we had a full hour plus meeting just identifying what our options were. And they did a full redesign. That's part of the reason you got a late submission with the revisions is we had gone through that exercise so that what we're showing you, we're pretty confident we can do.
And that'll meet the health department's standards. That was one of the
Mm.
critical things is, I mean, we're trying to find that famous knothole that is between what the health department needs
Yes.
and preserving what's there, and also being functional so it will support what we're trying to do with the space itself.
So another question, Tom, what are you kind of thinking of your hours of operation and
It's a great question. So what we're thinking is as have it be as a museum, I'll say from 10 in the morning till, or 10 or 11 in the morning till, let's say 4 o'clock. And that would be, you come in, you pay $10, you come in, you walk around. Occasionally we'll have docents, we'll have programs, all that kind of stuff going on.
Yep.
That refreshment center may or may not be open, sort of depend upon staffing and what's happening, depends on traffic and all that sort of stuff. If there's a lot of activities of people coming in, like in September, October, it might be open, and other days it won't be open. And then around, I'll call it probably around 4 o'clock to close it down. At 5 o'clock, it opens up as a tavern or as a pub, or call it what you want. You come in for free. You walk in, the bar is open, people can walk around, grab their drinks, go sit in the tea room, go wander around, look at the enjoy the building itself. But there won't be any tours or tour guides, if you will, available during that time. But it'll be a chance for people to, as they say, Sam Adams drank here, drink Sam Adams here, kind of message for people. And the one thing that's been fascinating is we've been doing these beer gardens, and we're learning a lot about what people want and value in terms of the space. And a lot of people says, I just want to drink where our founding fathers drank. I mean, the idea of that is so we want to give them the flexibility to do that. So it would be and we'll be open, say, from 5 to maybe 9 o'clock or so, but that will judge somewhat on experience of what we get. But it'll be the evening at if you will, during that time. We won't have enough food for meals, so we're not like a place where you can go get a dinner, but there will be light snacks, sandwiches, and things like that, stuff that you might like see at Nero's, that kind of that we're going to have pre-prepared by some vendor and provide that to us. And that would be the kind of food that would be available for people, as well as sort of maybe muffins and bread or some other things like that.
Yeah.
That answer your question?
Yep. Because I know the capacity that it's allowed and what it can tolerate. I know you're very conscious of that.
Yeah.
The future questions would be kind of what you plan to do outside and the maybe a new handicap entry, but that's not tonight. So those are my questions. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Nancy?
Yeah, you showed where the microbrewery was going to be in the basement. This is a, just a basic question. That's to hold the beer that's going to be pumped upstairs, right?
That's to produce it.
You're going to make beer there.
We're gonna brew it.
You're going to brew it. Okay. That's a surprise to me. Who's going to do that?
Is JC still on the line and can talk about his concept?
Hi. I just want to say it's been an honor to be a part of this project for a little bit over a year, and the changes that we've seen. And I give tours here while I'm waiting for the brewery to get started. And everybody, when I say that, we're going to be able to drink here, just like these famous people that started this country, people get chills. They're just like, I can't believe that I'm standing in the same exact place where these people drank. It's just like, it blows their minds. I'm very fortunate and privileged to be in front of you all. So this is a very small operation. The tanks itself are about 6 or 7 gallons for producing, and then the fermenters that turn it into alcohol, turn it into the beer, those are 7 each. But it's going to be, you're going to produce about 6 gallons a run, and it takes about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So very small operation.
It's a novelty. It really is.
Yeah, it is. So it's to get my license, and the mass production would be at an off-site brewery. So a contract brew is what that's called. This would produce, my operation would produce about 30 bottles. They call them bomber bottles, like what Maine Brewing does. So, this big, about 30 of them, and they'd be, the special one-offs that would be purchased, like more of a commemorative thing.
So just to be clear, is all the beer that's going to be served there going to be brewed, or you're also going to outsource it?
Yeah, that will be outsourced. The majority of it will. So
Already,
Yeah.
the
okay.
beer that's being produced down there will be bottled and then sold probably for drinking offsite.
Yeah,
Get it,
yeah.
get it.
So Nancy, just for perspective, it's like 30 bottles every 2 weeks. That's it. It's
Yeah.
it's a novelty.
Okay, got it.
And
Yeah.
JC, maybe
it's-
mention what type of recipes you're using and how they relate to the history here.
Yeah. So I've been a teacher for 20 years, and up until this last year, I was a teacher at the Concord Children's Center for 20 years. And I thought something was missing in Concord. I thought, honoring the people of Concord, the more famous people from Concord, and and a brewery, I think, in this part of town is missing. So I did a lot of research and I came up with period style beers. So I have 6 beers already, one's named after Sam Prescott, one's named after the women of April 19th. I have a Right Tavern Brown Ale. But so I've been, they're all based on
These are
ingredients that would have
original-
been available. Go ahead.
Oh, these are original recipes?
So they're recipes that I've created with a guy that I'm brewing with, not historically. So the elements are there. So what you would have had, you would have been able to get maple and molasses for my maple molasses brown ale. And then the hop that is centerpiece in these beers would be one that would be similar to what would have been back then. But if you were going straight out and I was making it like George Washington's beer, you would get it all together, you'd throw a blanket on it for 2 weeks, and then you'd come back and get it. And usually what happened is they would be all sour. So I'm going something for the palate here, but also trying to relate Concord's heroes really, and heroes that maybe you haven't heard, and displaying, them for people to gain a better knowledge of what Concord has to offer.
I mean, this is just an incidental. I have an affiliation with the Concord Museum, and and I worked on an exhibition there once, and there is a woman, I can't remember her name, but if you're interested, I could get it. That is
Okay.
her academic specialty, is because she reproduced a recipe, so that's why it piqued my curiosity.
That would be great. I see.
Yeah, I love that.
So, you're going to have a sink in that room, right?
Yes,
Correct.
That's going to be
2.
a new sink, a new source
Correct.
of water, right?
Correct.
And then because you're going to serve beer, there's going to be a lot more use of the bathrooms. Right?
Probably. Yeah, I would imagine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm just wondering, what would you say? What?
Don's
I'm-
cough, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, and there's going to be no cooking, because you said you're going to be bringing in snacks that are prepared, but you're not going to be, or will you need to heat anything up? I guess the reason I'm
Yes,
asking
yeah,
these
good question.
questions is that, the reason I'm asking these questions is that this is, a new use for the Right Tavern, a new contemporary use. It was a tavern, but, just concerns about, possible water damage and, increased fire hazard.
Mhm, mhm. So, a couple of questions. Let's respond to your question. We're looking to obviously using the newest and the best we can in terms of technology to really protect as much as we can any kind of damage on the things you've talked about, obviously. We do have on our list of things to do that would actually is funded by the national parks. So hopefully the funding will be there when we get there, is a fire suppression system. But we'll be coming back to you once we have a plan what that looks like, because we need y'all's approval for doing that. But it'll be part of it's funded right now by our national parks grant. And so we're sensitive to the issue of fire suppression and the question of how to do that in a way that has a minimal impact. And that's for a whole nother conversation on another night. But I think the point you're bringing up is an important one in terms of it's almost returning the building to what it used to be in the mid 1700s, and it's a space like that. And it's also interesting to note that brewery taverns back then, people made their own beers in those taverns. We don't have any evidence about what it was, at least at this point in time, what beers were made actually in the Wright Tavern. By, Ephraim Jones when he owned it, and Daniel Taylor when he owned it. So, but we do know that taverns, because there was no Boston Brewery who made it and distributed beer to these taverns. A lot of times they made it on their own, or they made it within the community. So this is a kind of a clever way, if you will, of returning a bit to the roots of what this building was really about in the 1700s. To have a place where people can come in and enjoy refreshments, have conversations with other members of the community and whatever. And some of the beer is actually made in that location. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how that develops.
Yeah, and just as a side note too, to talk about the the chance of fire or what have you. Yeah, back in those days they had to, cook their beer, make their beer with fire. So I'm opting to go all electric. So there's no going to be flames or anything burning down in my space. So, rest assured there shouldn't be a fire if the electric
Yeah,
is
I guess I'm pushing back a little bit because I'm thinking, since now I understand it's the novelty of that people can bring home a beer that's brewed there, but since you're not serving it, it's extra taxing on the building. And so why does it necessarily have to be brewed there? Because to do that, you're installing equipment in the basement for that purpose that maybe you wouldn't, you could do the same thing, brew it off-site and still sell it there.
I can
Yeah,
respond real quickly, JC, and then you can chime in.
Sure.
The goal, I think, of JC's limited production is for on-site consumption and not for distribution outside of the tavern. He has another, because he wants to expand beyond just the Wright Tavern. He's got somebody he's coordinated with for distributing the larger volumes that would be produced from those batches. Does that sound accurate?
And by the way, could turn around and purchase those from his manufacturer and his distributor. So, it'll come from lots of different ways in terms of getting the source of the beer.
So
Yeah,
apropos of that, can I just ask, what are you going to call your beer?
the name of the brewery is High Minded Brewing Company.
Okay, that doesn't, shouldn't it have some association with
Mention some of the names.
Special Congress or something? That's a little weedy.
Yeah, so high minded overall would have been, the people of those times, they're forward thinking, they're world changers in their viewpoints. So if you think of Thoreau, you talk about our founding fathers. I would call them all high minded if you would look it up in the dictionary. So Rebellious is one of the beers that I have made. It's about the women of April 19th. And that has a honey, rum-soaked raisin, ginger lemon beer. There's the Wright Tavern Ale, which is the brown ale. For Love is my ale that's based on Sam Prescott and his ride and the love of his country, his fiance, and so
Okay.
forth. So yeah, the beer names themselves will be, and High Minded was encompassing Concord as a whole, that I believe is there a notch above the rest of the country. And then in regards to why, why, it seems not very smart to be in this little space and not have anything really big produced. Authenticity. Authenticity that something was made there, the idea was formed there, whether or not, the can comes from another place, the idea and the hard work came in this space. And also, to be honest, I fell in love with this place over, and I'm at the tavern right now zooming. I fell in love with this place and this mission a year ago when I ran into Tom and we bounced ideas off. So that's why. I could, yes, easily go somewhere else. I could easily go out of town. It's hard in Concord to get this thing going. I could go to another town and it'd be much easier. But to me, it's the authenticity, I think.
Love it. Nancy, did you have anything else or You can still,
Yeah, I guess I'm, we're preservationists, our job is to preserve a national landmark. So, I love the idea and I don't get me wrong, people have just are very excited about this and have enjoyed their experiences that, that because the tavern's been open or they've had these beer events. But I am concerned about that, just because something was done 200 years ago doesn't necessarily mean we should be doing it in that space because we need to protect that space. That's my only concern. I don't know much about brewing beer, so I don't know how, what the risks involved are. Maybe they're not, maybe
Like boiling
someone's a
water.
better, more educated viewpoint than me.
I can address that real quick. You know what I did not walk you through is kind of the initial part of the narratives, which I think you all have a copy of. But under the goals and what do we call it? I can't remember. But anyway, the refreshment center is primarily a rehabilitation project based on the NHPA, the National Historic Preservation Act description, which I think is a little less severe in terms of its preservation aspect and more about maintaining the vitality of the space. So we are not looking to create a museum piece here.
Solely. It'll be partly a museum, but partly other things. It is interesting in most museums, the most successful museums have some kind of an eatery or some sort of a food kind of related service related to them. Think about, the Gardner Museum or many of other, even the Boston Tea Party. And we think about what is the right tavern and what are its roots. It was a tavern. And so we're kind of going to that roots. And they actually, manufactured beer probably here. So that's probably part of the other things that we're trying to capture here. So I think, it's a good, really good questions. What we're trying to do is that's kind of why we're having this dialogue that says, giving us directions. It's important, I think, for us to, I think JC said really well about the authenticity of the experience. And that's one of the things we're trying to really remember for people. Absolutely protecting the space. A lot of the thing that Jeff also mentioned is really, if you remember what he said earlier, a lot of the walls are going to be self-contained. It's where it will not be, we won't be affecting, like for the exterior walls, we're putting a material that will actually enclose the space so that it'll be in I'll call it inside modern materials that will have all the fire retardants and but have the efficiency that JC needs to be able to operate.
Yeah, I can think, I'm an art historian. I've traveled all over the world. I've been in so many buildings and it's coming to mind, just springing to mind in Albrecht Dürer's house in Germany, where he was a printmaker and there's a printing press there and they allow, they allow guests to pull a print. That's not food though. I'm also thinking of Deerfield. I think I mentioned this once before in one of our meetings that they have a tavern, but I don't think they serve anything there. You just visit there. But maybe, I don't know. That's a good model for me. I want to go back and see that. I'm just
yeah,
these questions because I want to do a little more research on my own about it.
Lauren?
Yeah, I'd like to just go back to something was said earlier about the standards and the Secretary of Interior standards, which I actually have personally worked on. The rehabilitation standards were created precisely for projects like this because in order to accommodate contemporary uses in historic buildings while still retaining and preserving the features, materials, and spaces that contribute to its significance. And I do feel that this project does that in a beautiful way. And I love the idea. And I think there's been a lot of care taken to how to protect the spaces while simultaneously introducing the ability to have, beverages and a little little bit of food. I think it's going to be really lovely. And to have Wright Tavern used and vibrant, and not just kind of a pickled, preserved building that's static, I think will be a wonderful thing. And, it's a bit of a living history museum in a way, the way living history museums do, which is to try to reintroduce activities that were common during the historic period. So I do think having these uses is absolutely compatible with the Secretary's standards for rehabilitation.
I appreciate that, you telling us that, because, I just didn't know that. Thank you.
Can I also just say that all historic buildings have evolved and become different things over time. This is no different. This has been a bakery, it's been a rooming house, it's been a tavern, it's been all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And I thought what we're working on this preservation plan, and one of the things we talk about is adaptive reuse to continue to use these older buildings. And you have been very careful in preserving the exterior and to preserve a number of the features that have been identified by the good work of Lynn Spencer. I would echo what Lawrence said. I think to me, this is an appropriate use. I would worry, it may be loved too much, but I think you can modify your hours if it becomes too popular. But I thought this is what we need to do with our historic properties. They not just, preserve them in aspect.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that's why why the structural rehabilitation was done a year ago. Was to
Absolutely.
allow this to happen without destroying the building. So
The other
I
thing
think-
is, Tom and the First Parish folks, the board, they've got to figure out a way to make this place self-sustaining, or they will just.
Absolutely.
No, I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, we should have this as an example in our preservation plan, since we're in the process of writing it up. So it's a
Yeah.
good example to include in our comments about adaptive reuses.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Are there any other comments?
I'm going to be bold and ask if there's any conditional approval at this point, or is it purely going to be based on an approved or satisfied site walk? We're just trying to move it along, and
Yep.
I throw it out there for consideration.
And what's your procedural recommendation?
Lauren has her hand up, I think.
Okay,
I'll let
Lauren, you
Lauren
lead me.
take-
I'm so sorry, but I'm always going to be the the preservation kind of
Expert.
guru here. I
Right.
don't know what the word is, but I would like to have a discussion about the paneling and the wall, the new wall. The compatible versus distinguishable. But I do think it'd be good I don't see any major issues with the project at all. And that one I think is decorative, so it doesn't really affect function, but I would like to have a discussion about that maybe on site.
Mhm.
That's the one feature that I'd like to just
So
review.
we're talking refinements, not
We're
rewrites.
talking exactly.
Yeah, just pop
It's
little-
minor relative to the bigger picture. Yeah.
Does that help you, Jeff?
That helps me. That's what I expected. I just had to ask.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a newbie at this, and I mean, everything I see here, you guys have done tremendous work just to bring this thing up to modern day standards, to get new uses out of it, and to keep it alive into the future is just absolutely commendable. So,
Yep. The applause goes to Tom Wilson and his vision for
yes,
this.
yes.
Oh, it takes a village, this is one of the classic experiences. And it's gone beyond a team. It's really it's been a real village. And there's, and one of the things that is important, and I've sort of held off, we're we are about a third of the way through in funding. We've purchased probably, we've made a number of investments, and I've sort of held off on the funding strategy and just, I can highlight some of those questions that you might have. We want to have this funded by more private funding than through lots of grants and things, because the sooner we get this moving, the sooner we'll be able to be in sort of operation. There are a number of people who could easily write the entire check, what we need, but I'm not asking them for that necessarily. So we're having conversations with some sort of, I'll call it high net worth individuals about supporting this project. They're very interested in it. They want to, but I want to hold back, if you will, until we had some sense from you, this commission, on what your feelings were about the place, because I didn't want to get ahead of my skis on this thing. Time is important, but it's not, it's better to do it right than to do it fast. And so having your support is just, I can't tell you how grateful I am for that. And it gives me something to say to people who are, because they will ask, what has the Historic Commission said about this? And we'll, highlight that we're still in conversations and still the discussions. But the statements you've made about support is it's very heartening and gives me lots of confidence to have across the table conversations in a serious way to provide the funding to make this thing become reality.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate your time.
Great. So I'm just wondering about the site visit. So typically
Yeah.
with HTC, we would schedule a site visit the same morning as the next meeting.
Okay.
And for the Historical Commission, that date would be August 7th. So I don't think you don't necessarily need to stick with that process, but that's just how the HDC does it. So I was just trying to get people's sense of that, because we should probably try to schedule that tonight while you're all together.
Okay.
That would be
Seems
great
like
for
the only
me.
thing-
I'll be back then.
Works for me.
I'm in.
I'll make it work.
Good for me.
Okay. Oh, Melissa, you're muted.
That's rare.
You want to pick a time?
Yes.
Okay.
And,
So,
and what time was it that usually would occur?
well, with HDC, it's 8 a.m. I don't know if that works for anyone, or if you prefer to do it later in the day.
Up to you all.
A good, cool August morning sounds good to me.
Yeah,
Okay.
8 a.m. might be good.
We'll meet at 8 o'clock on Thursday, August 7th, at the Wright Tavern.
Okay.
Beautiful.
And should we provide you with these drawings, or do you have them?
Well, we were all sent them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have them.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're good.
okay.
We're good.
Yeah, to make sure that.
But I'll be expecting a sample of the ladies' beer that you talked about.
I don't have my license yet,
Let
so
me see, 8
maybe
o'clock in the morning on August
I
7th.
can
that
have
might
it
be
at my
called tea.
house. I can
That
have it
might
at
be
my
called
house.
tea.
Well, after the meeting, we'll all go to JC's house and
That's a little early.
right, exactly.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you.
Let
So then the
me also invite all of you on August 2nd, the Saturday before, we're having another beer garden, and this is in collaboration with the Chamber of Commerce's Sidewalk Sale Day. So we're going to do a thing from 11 to 7 or something of that nature on Saturday, August 2nd. You're all invited. And come.
Maybe we'll come over
participate.
from the lodge that afternoon, Tom, because one of our members is having his 100th birthday on
Wow.
August 1st.
Oh
We'll
my,
talk about historical.
oh my.
The World War II Navy veteran, and he is
Wow.
a remarkable guy.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening.
Right.
Good. So we'll
We
see
have
you
one
that
other
morning
agenda
and that
item.
evening too.
Yes.
Right. Okay, good.
Cool.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Good work.
Thank you.
So our last agenda item is to approve the meeting minutes from June the 12th.
Oh, I didn't see
Everybody
them.
have a chance to read through them?
Oh,
They looked good to me.
yeah, I'm sorry,
Um,
I didn't see them.
I'm fine with them.
Was that on the agenda?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, right. Okay, I missed that.
We're going to keep current with our meeting.
Yeah. Well, now, Mr. Chat GPT or
If there's
AI
anything I have control
Yeah.
over, but I can handle minutes.
is
we will-
impressive. So,
we'll make sure
well,
that
I
those-
move that we approve the minutes of June 12th, 2025.
We have a second? All in
And you
favor?
wrote that- I'm going to abstain because I didn't
Okay.
read them. That's the only
Okay.
reason. And I did say a lot, so that's why I want, I kind of would like to review them. But maybe you just need 3 people to do it, right?
We do, however, given that meeting, I think we can hold off, Nancy, if you'd like to.
If you think that it reflects what happened, I'm happy with that. I'm not, I don't want to be difficult.
No, let's give, I mean, it's not going to kill us to wait. I mean, August 7th is less than a month, so why don't we hold off and we'll do it then after you've had a
Thank
chance
you.
to read them.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
And to that, I think on that meeting, whether it's the 7th or in their next couple of meetings, just agenda items to consider is we talked about some procedural changes, some process that we want to put around this. I think before vacation, which I've forgotten about already, I think I had some notes and shot some ideas off just for discussion. So maybe we can put that on the agenda when everyone's back from vacation and has had a chance to think.
Did you write that up? Because I haven't.
I think I did. I may not have copied you, but well,
I haven't seen anything
Yeah.
about that.
well, this was probably in like the days after when you originally said that you're resigning from the board. So I
Yeah.
probably didn't send them to you, but we can definitely get you included.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We are adjourned.